Mabuhay Pilipinas! Mabuhay! Welcome to our webinar series on the philosophical for the human good. And today, for our pathways to the human good series, is entitled Culture, Ethics, and AI, with a theme, Reclaiming the Human Person in the Age of Technological Rationality through Culture, Character, and Reflective Pedagogy. Guys, I'm so excited for today because I have several guests in this particular field of expertise. Now, without further ado, I will be introducing to you our resource person. First is Dr. Melanie Fabrea, our ethicist and philosopher of technology. Please give a hand. Woohoo! And of course, our special guest for this night, for this series, is none other than Dr. Roger E. Odron, a philosopher of culture and at the same time an expert in arts education. Right, give a hand. All right, so I'm so excited with these guys now. And good day again. This webinar series is entitled Education in the Human Good, Philosophical Pathways in Culture, Ethics, and Intelligence. And the theme for this is that reclaiming the human person in the age of technological rationality. And of course, I will be inviting everyone to reimagine education, not merely as an instrument for economic success, but as a philosophical and moral journey toward human flourishing. Yeah, join us today with these two distinguished thinkers, Dr. Roger Odron and Dr. Melanie Fabrea. Dr. Roger, what can you say? Sir, nakamute po kayo, sir. Right, ganyan talaga yung live kasi nakamute tayo, no? So, it's okay, Sir Roger.
Thank you so much, Sir Jed. And of course, it is an honor to reflect on how culture and art shape human consciousness and moral sensibility.
What an artistic person, even the way how you said it, Dr. Roger. Now let's go to Dr. Melanie. Ma'am Melanie, how are you?
Hi, sir, and I'm excited to discuss how technology, especially artificial intelligence, challenges and refines our ethical commitments as educators.
None other than the very expert himself, Dr. Melanie Fabrea. Now, audience, people there, mga kababayan ko, let's begin with the foundation of culture and arts. Of course, I will be asking our guest speaker for tonight, Dr. Roger, in a philosophical sense, how do culture and the arts contribute to human flourishing, especially in our Philippine educational landscape?
All right, thank you so much, Sir Jedifel. To speak of human flourishing or eudaimonia in Aristotelian terms is to speak of education as a journey towards excellence of character and being. Culture and arts are not aesthetic luxuries. They are the ontological core of our humanity. In the Philippine context, culture and arts education affirm our pagkatao, our personhood grounded in community, memory, and spirituality. When students explore Filipino art forms, from indigenous weaving to contemporary performance, they engage in poiesis, the creative act that begins forth truth, beauty, and goodness.
Wow.
This awakens moral imaginations and empathy, essential to a truly flourishing life.
Right, so on what I understand to you, Sir Roger, for me, arts education, so I can say that arts education is not only creative, in a sense, but deeply moral and philosophical. It's a way of forming conscience through beauty. Am I right?
Exactly. It humanizes, and that's vital today. When education risks becoming purely technical and utilitarian, culture resists that reductionism. However, a caveat in the Philippines context, art and culture subjects are often marginalized. Viewed as minor, when we neglect them, we risk producing students who are technically skilled, but culturally fragmented and ethically disoriented.
Wow, I think Ma'am Melanie has something to say. Right, Ma'am Melanie? Dr.
Yes,
Melanie?
that's a crucial reminder, wherein integrating culture into pedagogy nurtures what Martha Nussbaum calls capabilities, the freedom to imagine, to empathize, to think beyond oneself. In a diverse nation like ours, cultural literacy also becomes ethical literacy.
Wow, very well said, no? Perhaps what our schools need is, I think, a recovery of the soul of education, right? Where arts and culture are seen as formative, not decorative, no? Dr. Roger, if I may follow up, now given your point about the marginalization of arts in our school, how
Yes,
might
ma'am.
our educational policymakers reframe, no, let me rephrase this one. How our educational policymakers reframe the arts as the core dimension of this what we so-called national identity rather than a peripheral subject?
Thank you so much, Sir, Dr. Jed. By embedding the arts in the curriculum, of course, not as enrichment, but in nation building, policies should recognize that creative subjects cultivate cultural memory and moral imagination, both essential for civic virtue and social unity.
I am just so curious, no. It's your answer is very promising. But to follow up question, me as a teacher, no, how might a teachers practically integrate this what we call local culture into a STEM-oriented curriculum without compromising technical competencies, just like engineering or
That's very
any chemistry?
interesting. Yes, that's very interesting, Sir Dr. Jan. Through interdisciplinary imagination, a science teacher, as we observe, for instance, can discuss indigenous ecological knowledge or traditional craftsmanship. Right?
Yeah.
It's about fusing rational inquiry with cultural wisdom. What I call the pedagogical or the pedagogy of rooted reason.
Wow, what a very good answer, no? The pedagogy of the rooted reason. And that brings us to segment number 2, no? That how we connect those ideas into what we call cultivating ethical citizenship, especially in our homeroom guidance, no? So let me move to another essential dimension of this as an ethical formation, our ethicist, which is Dr. Melanie. My question is this: how can homeroom guidance in our schools, no? As what we have said, the Sir Roger in his what we call teacher, how can homeroom guidance in our schools cultivate this kind of ethical citizenship in a way that aligns with the philosophical principles that we have?
Well, Dr. Jed, ethical citizenship is founded on the idea that we are zoon politikon, meaning social and moral beings whose well-being is inseparable from the community. Homeroom guidance, when properly implemented, they can become a space of moral phenomenology, where students reflect on lived experiences and discern the ethical meanings of their choices.
Yeah.
Now, in the Philippine setting, this can be done through reflective dialogues, journaling, and community-oriented projects. Now, when learners discuss issues such as pakikipagkapwa, online ethics, or environmental responsibility, they don't just learn moral rules, but they practice moral discernment.
Wow. No, from the very first segment that we have, education to human flourishing to culture and arts, to what we call cultivating ethical citizenship in homeroom guidance. So I'm just very curious. So ethical education becomes a live encounter, not a lecture. What the Levinas might call a face-to-face responsibility toward the other.
Precisely. It's relational and dialogical. But a caveat, if homeroom guidance becomes merely procedural, it reduced to attendance or administrative tasks, it loses its ethical power. The teacher must embody phronesis, practical wisdom, and create an atmosphere of trust and dialogue. Now, ethical formation can't be rushed. It requires patience, a reflection, and authentic modeling from educators.
All right, thank you very much. I think Sir Roger may react, no?
I agree with Dr.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Jed, I agree with Dr. Melanie. No? That's very true. Culture complements this by providing ethical narratives. Our Filipino bayanihan, for example, utang na loob, and pakikipagkapwa-tao are moral philosophies embedded in our daily life. If teachers help students interpret this visual critically, not romantically of course, they produce citizens who are not only good but wise and smart.
Wow. So basically, homeroom guidance should not only manage students, right? It should form a consensus in dialogue with culture. That's a powerful integration. And I have here some questions no, from our subscribers. And it's coming from at Rabbit. Oh, Rabbit is her name. No, I thought it's she or he. This is a follow-up question for Dr. Melanie. Dr. Melanie, what concrete classroom practices no, can help transform homeroom guidance into what we so-called genuine space for moral reflection rather than a mere administrative routine? Siguro teacher to si Rabbit, no? Ma'am, can you answer this one?
Now, that is a very good and a catchy question. No? So, teachers can introduce ethical journaling. We also have peer dialogue circles or community empathy projects. Now, these methods invite students to interiorize virtue, not just perform for the sake of compliance.
Now, if I'm so curious, I would just follow up the question of Rabbit no, at 2-3. How can a Filipino educators like me balance respecting students' moral autonomy while still guiding them toward universally shared virtues?
Well, I think it's through Socratic dialogue and accompaniment.
Okay.
Educators don't impose virtue, but they awaken it. By modeling authenticity and compassion, teachers guide without coercion, leading the students or the learners to freely choose the good.
Right. I really like that what we so called by modeling authenticity and compassion. Teachers guide without coercion, leading the students to freely choose the good all the time. Amen for that. I really believe in that. Wow, what a very ample discussion no, about starting from culture of arts in education into human flourishing to what we so called segment number 2, cultivating ethical citizenship in homeroom guidance. They are interconnected. No, we flourish if we have what we so called cultivating ethical guidelines no, in our life values. We can
Rootedness.
the rootedness for that. Now, I think it will be complete now. No, that the target of our webinar series for this night is that we will talk about the segment number 3, which is what we call the AI and the pedagogical ethics, which is very known today. So for this third, no, and most pressing concern, I think a lot of audience now, no, in our subscriber room, in chat room, are really eager to hear what's AI and pedagogical ethics all about, no? So, artificial intelligence, Dr. Melanie, if I may ask you, from your perspective as a philosopher of technology, no? How should educators in the Philippines navigate the ethical dimension of this what we so-called artificial intelligence?
Yeah. Okay. This is where our what we call technoethics becomes crucial. AI embodies what Weber calls Schwekratsie Onaliteit, instrumental rationality. It prioritizes efficiency and prediction. Yet education, as we know, must remain anchored in value rationality, meaning the pursuit of meaning and moral growth. Now, in the Philippine education, AI can assist teachers through adaptive learning, assessment, and resource generation. But ethically, the danger lies in pedagogical automation. When we allow technology to dictate the pace and content of learning without human interpretation. As Heidegger reminds us, technology tends to enframe human beings, meaning reducing them to data points. The educator's role, therefore, is to maintain what I call ethical presence. That is to ensure that technology serves human flourishing, not efficiency alone.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, no? As what I understand to you, the really profound explanation of it, I can say that AI can never replace the teacher as a moral and interpretive agent, right?
Exactly. Now,
Yeah,
AI can process information, but it cannot intend meaning. It cannot love, it cannot empathize, or discern good from evil. Now, a teacher guided by phronesis can use AI wisely, That is to be a tool for insight, not a master of pedagogy.
Wow, what a very profound explanation. I think Dr. Roger is trying to explain also this, no?
Yeah,
Dr. Roger?
I would just like to add that culture and art are antidotes to that dehumanization. They
Yeah.
remind us to pathos of human learning, how
Yeah.
capacity to wonder, emotion, and transcendence. The caveat, however, it is that schools often adopt technology uncritically, as if
Oh.
digital innovation equals progress.
Yeah.
Without a philosophical framework, we risk creating what Erich Fromm called the well-trained robot, efficient but unreflective.
I like what you've said, no, that the culture and art are the antidote of that dehumanization. I really love this. So, if I will ask myself, am I still a teacher? Yes, I am still a teacher. No? That is sobering thought. So, the challenge is not whether we can use artificial intelligence, but I hope you agree whether we can do so ethically, preserving the dignity of both the learners and the teachers in the process.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But okay. Let's look at the chat room. I think there's a follow-up question for Dr. Melanie. Dr. Melanie, there's a follow-up question here. As AI becomes increasingly present. By the way, this is from Panama. This is from Angel123. He said, or she said rather, as AI becomes increasingly present in learning management systems, Dr. Melanie, how can we ensure that teachers remains critical co-designers rather than the passive consumers of this what we so-called algorithmic content?
Okay, that is a very good question. No? It can be done through digital phronesis, meaning it's a reflective judgment in the digital sphere. Now, teachers must question biases. They should examine data ethics and align every technological decision with human-centered pedagogy.
Wow, what a very I think Sir Roger also react, but before that, let me ask first some follow-up question. No? The way on I understand you what we call digital phronesis, no? I will connect it to Sir Roger, no? Dr. Roger, from a philosophical and a cultural standpoint, how can a Filipino educators, in connection to what Dr. Melanie said in digital phronesis, how can a Filipino educators preserve pakikipagkapwa-tao, the human touch in AI-assisted classrooms?
All right, it's a very wonderful question. First, very timely hype of the AI, right, sir?
Yes.
By integrating rational rituals, even without digital spaces, storytelling, reflection circles, or even the simple gathering, shared silence, these sustain empathy and communal presence, ensuring that education remains in act or an act of encounter, not computation.
Wow. So as we talk about culture and arts to human flourishing, to ethics in classroom setting, and even in what we so-called AI. So really education is as really a formation of the whole person, right? So what a rich and thought-provoking discussion, no? From what I'm hearing, culture, ethics, and even technology must not exist in silos alone, no? They are dimensions of the same philosophical mission, no? The formation of the whole person. I hope these two distinguished guests that we have will agree, no? Would it be fair to say that education, when viewed holistically, must be a fusion of these horizons, as what Gadamer would call tradition, morality, and innovation meet in a dialogue?
Indeed. Education is a moral art, of course. Culture gives us identity and roots. It tells us who we are.
Wow. How about Doc Melanie? Would you agree with that? In terms
Yes,
of ethics?
100%.
Yeah.
No? Because ethics gives us direction. It's reminding us that every educational decision is also a moral decision. And
Wow.
technology, guided by phronesis, gives us possibilities, ways to extend our reach without losing our humanity.
Wow. Beautifully. Clap your hands, guys. Thank you very much, no? As I put this one, Education, therefore, must remain philosophical as its core, reflective, dialogical, and even directed towards the common good. Do you
That's
agree with
very
that?
correct.
Right. So therefore, thank you very much now for our distinguished guests, Dr. Melanie Fabrea and Dr. Roger Odron. As we close this intellectual journey, let us remember to those subscribers that are watching us live in our channel, as we close this intellectual journey, let us remember that education is not merely the transmission of knowledge, but a transformation of being. In our classroom, whether we teach art, ethics, or technology, we are forming persons, not just professionals. We are cultivating thinkers who can discern the truth, appreciate the beauty, and act with goodness. And to all our educators, may we continue to teach with character, culture, and conscience, for it is only then that education becomes an act of love and liberation. On behalf of our distinguished speakers and resource person, Dr. Roger Odron and Dr. Melanie Fabrea, thank you for joining us in this philosophical exploration of education for the human good. Mabuhay tayong lahat. Thank you very much, Dr.
Mabuhay.
Roger. Thank you very much, Dr. Melanie. And
Thank you
see
for
you
having
next
me.
time for our philosophical series webinars. Bye-bye! Mabuhay!
Bye. Thank you so much,
Bye. Thank
Dr.
you. See you next
Bye.
time.
Jennifer, Dr.
Bye-bye.
Melanie. Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.